Good Thursday to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to today's European Outlook. It is Thursday, the 18th of September, and as expected, the tropical Atlantic is becoming a little bit more active. We've got Tropical Storm Gabrielle now on the open Atlantic Ocean. Not looking particularly great at the moment, it has to be said. You can see here this elongated, stretched out north-south mess in the open central Atlantic. That is Gabrielle, believe it or not. It's not the feature to the east, just west of Cabo Verde, or the system over Puerto Rico. It's this area of a mess that is over the central Atlantic at the moment here. Plenty of convection over northern South America, Central America, and also that pulling out over the open Pacific. Globally at the moment, this is how things are looking. So we've got an invest area. That mess is just exiting Mexico. That is an area of interest. 96E. Tropical Storm Gabrielle. We'll get the details in a second. Then we have got Tropical Storm Mitig in the South China Sea, somewhere between Luzon and Southeast China. Then we've got a Tropical Depression 25 in the open West Pacific. Looking then at the details, according to the latest off NHC, we've got an area of 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. If we go back to the visible satellite, you can see here it's this area, I believe, here, just pulling west. Looking not too bad, a reasonably compact feature, but it looks as if sheer and possibly drier is impacting the system further west. That is Tropical Storm Gabrielle. So let's click on that then. You can see here 50 mile per hour system at the moment, pressure 1004, moving in a west and northwesterly direction at 15. If we look at the projections of NHC, it is expected to remain a tropical storm. You know, you could argue if it survives based on the latest observations, but the system is expected to remain a tropical storm all the way out to the early portions of Sunday. So over the next several days, it doesn't look as if it is going to do anything. It's not going to rapidly strengthen anytime over the next 48 hours at least anyway, but it is expected to become a hurricane as it makes an approach. Notice the track. Notice it takes that turn to the north. That has been a real story of the 25 season so far, that we've not had much in the way of systems going into the Caribbean or the Gulf. Hence why we're seeing this build-up of warmth within these bodies of water. That is a concern. The good news, I suppose you could argue, is as we move towards the month of October, you've got a lesser chance of systems getting into the open Gulf once you progress through the month of October. Patterns start to change. The weather obviously is evolving more out of summer and into an autumn mode, and therefore you have less likelihood of systems becoming major within the Gulf of Mexico, for example. Caribbean's a different story. We can still get systems through the month of October, and when you've got water temperatures in excess of 30 Celsius, that is something that needs to be watched. But really at the moment here, we've been remarkably fortunate. I don't want to say too much in case we do get some major system getting into the Caribbean or the Gulf, but certainly up until now it's been remarkable how quiet it's been, and that obviously has been very welcome news. Now, you can see here, this is the tracks, multiple track, pretty much all models suggest this north and then right turn over the western portion of the Atlantic Basin. And that then brings me on to discuss our pattern. Now, at this moment in time, we have a trough digging to the west, and that is helping pump the high over western areas of Europe. Before we get to this discussion, I want to talk about the winds. Now, we've had a system, fairly deep area of low pressure passing to the north of Scotland, and that has generated some very lively gusts of wind. You can see here the centre of that circulation just to the west of Shetland here. At the time of recording, we're generally in the sunshine, and with westerly winds, we're seeing the warmest temperatures along the eastern side of Scotland this afternoon. Much fresher further west, but the further east you go, with shelter, with elements of Fern effect, winds sweeping across the West Highlands and the Grampians, the Cairngorms. You can see that ripple effect in the clouds here as the winds cross over the terrain. And it's generally in that kind of east-northeast corner that you tend to find the warmest temperatures with a strong westerly wind. But very, very nice visible satellite presentation this afternoon, showing that quite nicely. High and dry across the bulk of Iberia, France, and central and southern Germany. Central areas of Europe is certainly looking very decent indeed this afternoon. So that area of low pressure, we'll look at temperatures in a second here. That area of low pressure seen by Meteosail passing to the north with the strongest winds on the southern flank here, pressure into the mid-980s and millibars here. And in terms of winds, you can see here that we had, widespread 50, 60 mile per hour gusts. If we skip back to late last night, you can see here these strong winds moving into particularly the southern half of the Outer Hebrides, Skye, west coast here. And then as we progress through the course of this morning, you can see these kind of brighter colours representing stronger winds. This is in kilometres per hour, by the way, 90 plus mile per hour winds over the tops, for example, and 60, 70 mile per hour at relatively low levels, even 60 plus mile per hour at Tain, which is just roughly 18 miles to my north. Recorded a new wind gust record for the month of September here at Vogan Weather HQ of 55 kilometres per hour, surpassing the previous record set a couple of years ago of 51 kilometres per hour. So a new wind record, at least here at the house. But those winds are going to very gradually begin to ease as we progress through the evening and overnight period. Looking at the latest radar then of Weather Online, you can see here plenty of showers across Ireland, Northern Ireland, western portions of Scotland, the southwest. We've got a little clutch of more intense showers moving through in the parts of northern England, Wales, southwest. Largely dry the further east you go over the UK. So looking at the current temperatures then, and we have got a fresh 15, 14 Celsius, even 13 in the west. We've got 19, 21 Celsius in the east. Further south, we're talking about temperatures knocking the door of the mid-20s as we start to see the warmth building here over the next few days. Upper 20s is possible tomorrow, depending on sunshine and wind and whatnot. And you can see here current temperatures across Europe. Probably another day plus 40 in central Spain, for example. Mid-30s in the south of France. And we're talking about some daily record highs extending anywhere from the Canaries, Western Africa, all the way up into the eastern side of the UK here. So extending all the way from the Canaries, Morocco, up through Iberia, southern France, and into the UK here. These are daily record highs, near or record-breaking highs for these widespread locations here, for example. So, and the warmth is continuing to build. I think we're going to peak the heat tomorrow, probably into Saturday as we move into Germany. So we will keep an eye on those numbers. Let's have a quick look then. So something a little bit fresher further east and north. Still clinging on to some summer warmth across Greece and Turkey. Mid-30s, for example, down that southwest corner of Turkey. But if we look at Spain in particular, we did see 40s yesterday. And today we're talking about right around the 40-degree mark. There probably will be a location or two that reaches 40 Celsius this afternoon, but some pretty hot conditions given the fact that we're now on the 18th of September. Probably a mid-30s somewhere in the south of France as well. But I want to draw your attention then to the overall pattern. Now, obviously, as made mention over the last couple of days, we do have this wave 3 pattern becoming wave 4 pattern. This was discussed by Aidan McGivern on the Met Office Deep Dive. Excellent discussion. I highly recommend you watching that. But you can see here that the pattern is going to become more blocked up. As we start to see the slowdown in westerly momentum, we're going to see the ridge trough pattern become a little bit more amplified. So we're going to see ridges building further north, troughs digging further south, heat lifting further north, cooler lifting further south as well. You can see here, if we play through this GFS ensemble, this is where we're at tomorrow morning at 6Z. So we've got this digging trough here extending all the way to the Azores. We've got this strong ridge of high pressure, hence the heat from the Canaries, Morocco, up through Iberia, France, and even into the southeastern UK. Like, I mean, 21 Celsius is not too shabby in the east coast of Scotland this afternoon, it has to be said. But watch what happens here over the next few days. That ridge will eventually shift eastward. So we're going to see, as explained in detail yesterday, we're going to see this dramatic flip from summer-like warmth to autumn-like chill. And we are likely to see this feature at the base of this trough. Look at the ridge here over the North Atlantic extending into Greenland, Iceland. Watch what happens as we see this eastward progress of the ridge trough couplet. What's going to happen is we're going to start to see a trough digging further south, and this ridge building over the top of it, cutting that area of low pressure off to the south, somewhere to the south of the UK. There we go here. You can see that taking place. There's the trough. I know it's a little bit hard to see because it's at the edge of the map, but I want to show you the progression of this overall pattern. Remember what's happening with Gabrielle, remember. I said remember twice. You know what I mean. So you can see this system riding around the western flank of this central Atlantic ridge of high pressure. So at this point, we've neither got an Azores high to the east or a Bermuda high to the west. We've got this weakness on both sides of the ridge. This is as of Tuesday next week here. And what's going to happen is I think we're going to start to see Gabrielle take this route around the western flank of the high, and that is going to help build the pressure up into the north here. Now, by the time we reach Wednesday of next week, we've got high pressure centered to the north, easterly flow, chilly pattern for sure, but higher pressure is becoming more established. Now, I said this in the September outlook, that depending on the timing, we would have an unsettled, low pressure dominated first half to September, higher pressure dominated second half to September. Yes, the ridge is coming a little bit later than expected, but that was mentioned as well, that may be the case. But I expected to see a more settled, drier, but not necessarily warmer latter half to September. But you can see here how we play all the way out to the middle, second half of next week. Even beyond that, that ridge kind of just becomes firmly entrenched in the pattern. And I think the tropics is going to help reinforce this pattern. I think we're going to go negative with the AO and the NAO, and we could see some fairly cold nights, it must be said, during the, starting off the weekend and then into next week with higher pressure and control here. Decent days, but potential for frost and fog during the overnight will play all the way through. That ridge is just hanging on there. Let's have a quick look then at the European model, and then I'll try and round up from there. Let's have a look at the 5-day increments. Upcoming 5 days looks like this here. So we've got the ridge over Europe, trough over Scandinavia, and a little trough to the southwest. Day 6 through 10 then, you can see here there's that cut-off feature over northern Italy into the central regions of Europe here. The high position is important. To the north of the UK, we've got easterly winds, northeasterly winds. That means we're going to see colder than average temperatures. And then even out to the 11 to 15 day, you can see here the ridge centered to the north, trough over southeastern areas of Europe. Looking at the temperature anomalies then, back to the upcoming 5 days. You can see here a cool north and west UK, warmer southeast. That is thanks to the warmth over the next few days. Look at how warm Europe is. Then day 6 through 10. Big shock to the system, especially Iberia, France, Low Countries, where we're going to see midsummer warmth over the next few days. And then the 11 to 15 day, we've got this cold looking Europe. So interesting times coming up. Be sure to hit that like button, but more importantly, hit the subscribe button if you're interested in seeing evolution of pattern change, the reasons behind these changes. So I hope you can stick around, and I'll be back tomorrow, as always, with more. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye for now.